If you had asked me a year ago what the word certainty meant, I would have pointed to my relationship with Evan. He was the kind of man who always sat close enough to touch, always reached for my hand. First, always told me he loved me when he hung up the phone. I thought that meant something solid, something safe, something real. But safe things don't usually explode, and yet mine did. My name is Robin Hatfield. I'm 29 years old, and this is the story of the moment everything I thought I knew about love turned inside out. It started on a Tuesday night, the kind of quiet, ordinary weekday where nothing dramatic is supposed to happen. We were on the couch after dinner, both pretending to watch the same crime show we'd been dragging through for a month. Evan had been glued to his phone for weeks, but I told myself it was stress or exhaustion. Or maybe he'd fallen down some Reddit rabbit hole about the best kitchen knives, or new phones, or whatever else normally consumed him. But that night, the tension in his shoulders looked different. His jaw was set too tight. His thumb hovered over the screen like he couldn't bring himself to finish a message. My stomach twisted before anything even happened, like my body figured out the truth before my brain did. He finally put his phone down, took a breath, and said, "Robin, I think we need to open our relationship." Just like that. No build-up, no gentle lead-in, no conversation about wants or fears or concerns. Just a gunshot of a sentence. I blinked. What? He sat straighter, rehearsed, and rigid. I've been doing a lot of reading, researching different relationship models. Ethical non-monogamy is more common than you think. I think this is something we need for our growth. There was no, I feel no, I wonder, no, can we talk about this? Just we need to do this, starting immediately. It wasn't a discussion. It was an order, an ultimatum. Something in me hardened at that something steady I didn't realize I still had. He wanted to swing open a door. Fine. I could walk through it too. Okay, I said. The word clipped through the air like a snapped thread. Evan blinked, visibly thrown. He had expected a meltdown. Tears. A fight. Something that made him the calm, reasonable one. Instead, I gave him composure. Agreement. Freedom. The thing he swore he wanted. You, okay? He asked, confusion washing over the confidence he'd worn seconds earlier. Sure, I said with a shrug. Open relationship starting immediately, like you said. His expression twitched, surprise first, then discomfort, then something like regret he tried to hide. Oh, well, good, he said, forcing a smile that didn't reach his eyes. I'm glad you're being mature about this. Yeah, I said, super mature, that's me. He kept talking, rambling about communication boundaries evolving together, words that had clearly been pulled straight from a forum post somewhere. I nodded, but my mind was already drifting away from him. Not because I didn't care, because something inside me had snapped into frightening clarity. He wasn't suggesting this for us. He was suggesting it for him. That night, after he fell asleep, I downloaded dating apps, 3 of them. I updated my photos, wrote a bio that was honest about being in a newly open relationship. Pressed submit. By morning, I had 18 matches. By the following evening, 2 dates lined up for the weekend. I wasn't hiding anything. When Evan asked why I was on my phone so much, I told him plainly. Setting up dates, like we agreed. His face was a whole emotional opera shock. Anger. Confusion. Something that almost looked like betrayal, but couldn't be, because this was his idea. He had demanded this, not me. He swallowed hard. You already have dates. 2, maybe 3. 3. Yeah, why? It's just... He looked away. I didn't think you'd jump into it so fast. You said immediately. I tilted my head. Should I have waited for your permission? He didn't answer. He just stared at the floor hands, tightening into fists. A few nights later, I got ready for my first date, dark jeans, soft sweater, the cologne Evan liked on me. My hair curled just enough for softness. When I stepped out of the bedroom, Evan looked at me, like I'd just stepped onto a ledge. Where are you going? He asked, even though he knew. Dinner, first date. With who? A guy I matched with. He's a graphic designer into travel and horror movies. Seems cool. A guy? I raised a brow. Isn't that the point? He shook his head, frustration swelling. You need to cancel. Why? I asked calmly. Because this isn't... He stopped himself, jaw working. You can't just what I asked. Do exactly what you demanded we do. His voice cracked. This isn't how it was supposed to go. Oh, I stepped closer. Explain to me. How was it supposed to go? He looked like he wanted to scream. I didn't think you'd actually date someone. There it was. The truth hiding underneath all his enlightened modern relationship talk. So when you said open relationship, I said you meant you get to see other women, and I sit at home waiting. Tears gathered in his eyes. You're being hurtful. I'm being literal, I said. This was your idea, not mine. He trembled. I thought you'd fight for us. You said take it or leave it. I took it. What did you expect? He didn't answer. He just watched me walk out the door. The date, honestly wonderful. Easy conversation. No tension. No invisible ledger keeping score. Just two people laughing in a cozy restaurant, flirting lightly, breathing without stepping on emotional landmines. I didn't realize how starved I was for kindness until I felt it again. When I got home, Evan was waiting on the couch, eyes swollen mascara-like streaks from rubbing at his face. He looked small, broken. We need to talk, he said. I want to close the relationship. This was a mistake. I can't do this. That was fast, I said quietly. It's been less than a week. We're going back to normal, he insisted. We're closing it. We, I repeated. Or you. His lip trembled. What does that even mean? It means, I said evenly, you demanded this. You threatened to leave unless I agreed. Now that I actually followed through, you want to change the rules. You know what I meant, he whispered. I know exactly what you meant. I stepped back, letting the truth sit between us. You wanted permission to explore someone else. You thought I'd either refuse or stay faithful while you tried things. You didn't expect me to have options. A tear rolled down his face. I can't watch you date other people. Then I said gently, you shouldn't have demanded an open relationship. He looked like he was shattering from the inside, but I didn't soften. I couldn't. Not anymore. The next morning, I woke to find he'd moved into the guest room. And that's where things stood fragile, cracking one tug away from completely unraveling. But even then, before everything truly exploded, before his secrets came pouring out, before the interventions and accusations and the truth scorched everything he'd tried to hide, something in my gut already knew. This wasn't the end. This was the beginning. The next morning, the house felt too quiet. The kind of quiet that doesn't belong to early daylight, but to something waiting. I brushed my teeth, tied my hair back, and headed downstairs expecting to make coffee. But halfway down the staircase, I heard voices. Not Evan's, not the TV. Actual voices. Low, urgent wrong. I turned the corner into the living room and froze mid-step. 3 people sat on my couch. Evan's mother, his sister Jessica, and his best friend Caroline. Evan sat off to the side, small and hunched, like a child hiding behind adults. My home suddenly didn't feel like mine. Evan's mother rose immediately, her tone sharp enough to cut glass. We need to discuss what you're doing to this family. I blinked at her. Good morning. Who let you in? Evan stared at the floor. I still have a key. Jessica's arms tightened across her chest. You've completely broken him, Robin. He hasn't eaten. He hasn't slept. You're being cruel. Cruel, I repeated softly, looking at Evan. Did you call them here? He didn't answer. Caroline jumped in. Rob, seriously. You know what he meant when he said open relationship. He wasn't trying to replace you. He just wanted to explore. You're twisting it to hurt him. So he wanted an open relationship only for himself, I said, my voice steady. And I was supposed to sit at home waiting. That's not what she said, Evan's mother cut in. That's exactly what she said, I replied. Evan's mother stepped closer, her expression tight with indignation. We're staying until you understand how much damage you've done. She expected tears. She expected me to crumble or beg or apologize. Instead, something inside me aligned with a click, quiet, cold final. You all need to leave, I said. We're not going anywhere, Jessica snapped. Yes, I said calmly, you are. This is my house. You're here without my permission. Leave or I call the police for trespassing. The shift was immediate. Even Caroline stiffened. Jessica's jaw fell open in disbelief. One by one, they grabbed their bags and moved toward the door. But Jessica couldn't resist one last parting shot. You'll regret destroying this family. The door slammed. Silence returned. Heavy, dense. I turned to Evan. Sit. He did. Who is she? I asked. His voice trembled. There's no... Don't lie. He swallowed. Someone from work. My stomach tightened, not from heartbreak, from confirmation. Her name, I asked? He hesitated. Melissa. A neat soft name, of course. You've been getting coffee, I said, the picture building itself. Talking. Getting close. She understands me, he whispered, as though that excused anything. I kept my voice level. Did you sleep with her? No, he said quickly. I wanted the open relationship so it wouldn't be cheating. The honesty twisted as it was made, the truth sank deeper. So you wanted permission, I said. A hall pass to figure out whether someone else was better. It's not like that. It's exactly like that. His eyes filled instantly. I didn't think you'd actually date anyone. There it was, the thread that tied everything together. You didn't think anyone would want me, I said. Or you thought I was too loyal to try. His silence confirmed everything. I have another date this week, I said. I'm going. His face contorted. If you go on that date, I'm done. We're over. A test. A trap. a demand dressed as righteousness. Okay, I said. He inhaled sharply like he'd been punched. You don't mean that. I do. I didn't flinch. You demanded an open relationship so you could pursue someone else without guilt. You thought I would sit here waiting while you explored your options. When I didn't, you panicked. You tried to close it. Now you're giving ultimatums. His shoulders shook, tears streaming. But I love you. Love was supposed to be warm. His version burned. Love without respect isn't love, I whispered. He broke, and I didn't move to catch him. Then he lifted his head, eyes red and desperate. I want to keep the ring. I stared at him. Excuse me. Your grandmother's ring. It's mine. I'm keeping it. My voice turned to steel. That ring was lent to you as my partner. It was never yours. You can't just take it back. It was never yours. Give me the ring, I said, hand out. He looked down at his hand. His face contorted. With shaking fingers, he forced the ring off and flung it at me. Take it, he shouted. Take everything. You never loved me anyway. I caught the ring midair. I loved you, I said quietly enough to take you at your word. But I won't be your backup plan. That night, I went on my third date. Coffee, a bookstore, a walk through the cool evening air. Daniel was warm, funny, kind. He listened. He asked questions. He didn't make me feel like I had to ration my thoughts. For the first time in a long time, I laughed, without hearing an echo of Evan in my head. By the time I got home, the guest room was stripped bare. Evan had taken his clothes, his shoes, his toothbrush, left a mess of empty hangers and dust on the shelves, but nothing of himself. One text waited. Staying at my parents'. Coming for the rest tomorrow. Don't be home. I responded. This is my house. I'll be wherever I want. Text when you're coming. Everything will be boxed up in the garage. The next morning, I boxed everything. His wedding binders, his skincare sets, his stack of journals full of plans he'd written like we were a team, even while planning to audition a replacement behind my back. When he arrived, he didn't come alone. His father walked up first, face weathered with something like regret. Behind him was Evan's brother, jaw tight, radiating hostility. You really did this, huh? His brother said. Threw away 4 years over nothing. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't argue. He demanded an open relationship so he could see someone else, I said. That's not nothing. His father turned sharply to Evan. Is that true? Evan opened his mouth, but whatever excuse he had died under his father's stare. Yes, he whispered. His father exhaled a disappointed, exhausted sound. Load your things. For once, no one argued. They moved in tight, tense silence, lifting box after box. The scrape of cardboard on concrete became the soundtrack of the morning. When they finished, Evan lingered near the truck. He looked back at me with something that used to be love and had now dissolved into something sour. He climbed in without a word. As they drove away, dust rising behind the tires, I had no idea just how far he would go to rewrite the truth, or how many people he'd already convinced. But I could feel it coming. A storm, larger than anything that had happened so far. And it was heading straight for me. The storm hit the very next morning. My phone buzzed. Before sunrise, 3 missed calls, 4 text messages, and a long voicemail from a number I knew too well. Evan's mother. Her voice poured through the speaker, frantic and furious, the kind of fury born not from truth, but from blind loyalty. You manipulated him. He told us everything. You pressured him into that open relationship. You guilt-tripped him. You isolated him from friends. You're destroying him. Every word was wrong. Every sentence a lie. Every accusation something Evan had apparently rehearsed and shared with confidence. I didn't respond. Not because I didn't have words, but because any response would have fed a narrative he was already spinning. I thought ignoring it would calm things down. I was wrong. Within an hour, another voicemail came, longer, louder, laced with disbelief that I hadn't replied. Then a text from Jessica, furious paragraphs about how I'd forced Evan into a relationship structure he never wanted. Another from Caroline saying she'd never expected this kind of manipulation from me. I sat at my kitchen table, phone buzzing beside my coffee mug, and realized something terrifyingly simple. Evan was rewriting the story, and people were believing him. Mutual friends started reaching out next. Some gentle passive testing the water. Hey, Evan said things ended badly. Are you okay? Some accusatory, I can't believe you did that to him. He defended you for years. And some didn't give me the courtesy of a message, they simply unfriended me, choosing his version of reality over mine without a single question. It stung, more than I'd expected, more than I wanted to admit. But the real hit came around noon. A message request on Facebook from someone I didn't know, a man in a neat button-up standing in front of a tech company logo in his profile photo. Hi, I work with Evan. We should talk. I hesitated, then opened the chat. Me, I assume this is about the breakup. Him, yeah. I feel like I'm missing parts of the story. He's been saying some stuff at work, and it's not adding up. My stomach tightened. Me, what exactly has he been saying? Him, that you're jealous, controlling, that you hated him having female coworkers, that you started fights over him spending time with friends, and that the open relationship was something you begged for because you were afraid of losing him. I closed my eyes. Of course Evan said that. Of course. Me, none of that is true. He gave me an ultimatum: open relationship or breakup. Those were the only options he offered. A long pause. Him. That's definitely not the version he's been telling people here. Me, let me guess. This is about Melissa. Another pause. Longer this time. Him. So you know about that? Me, I know he asked for an open relationship because he wanted to pursue her. Typing bubble. Stop. Start again. Him. Look, this is uncomfortable. But yeah, Melissa said he asked her out. Recently. She was surprised because she thought he'd been single for a long time. I stared at the message, feeling something cold settle in my chest. Me, he told her he was single. Him, he told everyone he was single. He said he used to date someone clingy but hadn't been serious with anyone in years. Something inside me cracked. Not heartbreak, not even rage. Just a clean, painful break of clarity. 4 years. Erased. Me. Did he tell you he was engaged? Him, engaged. He said he hadn't dated anyone seriously since college. I felt heat gather behind my eyes, a sting I didn't want to let fall. Me, we were engaged until 3 days ago. A full minute passed. Him, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. And there's something else. Melissa isn't interested. She has a boyfriend. She thought Evan's attention was friendly. He's been following her around the office. HR already warned him once. I sat back, the room tilting just a little. Evan didn't want freedom. He wanted plausible deniability. He didn't want honesty. He wanted cover. He didn't want an open relationship. He wanted permission to cheat, but without consequences. Me, so he lied to her. To his coworkers. To his family. To our mutual friends. Him, honestly? Yes. He said some pretty intense stuff about you, but based on what you just told me, I think he was projecting. I released a slow, shaking breath. Me, thank you, really. Then he wrote one more thing. Him, I'm going to distance myself from him. This feels wrong. After that, there was nothing left to say. But it wasn't over. Barely an hour later, my phone lit up again, Evan's name on the screen, angry text after angry text. Evan, what did you say to my coworker? He won't even look at me now. You're ruining things. This is private. You're obsessed. Stop sabotaging me. Me, he messaged me first. I told him the truth. That's not sabotage. That's honesty. Evan, you're jealous. You can't stand that someone like Melissa would want me. Me, she doesn't want you. She has a boyfriend. And she didn't even know you were engaged. Silence, then more messages. Evan, you're lying. You're making this up. You always twist things. This is why our relationship fell apart. Me. Our relationship fell apart because you planned your exit months ago. Another silence, longer this time. His replies stopped, but the damage was done. Later that afternoon, a knock sounded at my door. When I opened it, Evan's father stood there, weathered, tired, sad. Can I come in? He asked. I stepped aside. He sank into the chair nearest the window, exhaling like he'd been holding his breath for weeks. I confronted him, he said, pressed him hard. I waited. And he told me everything. That he'd been interested in this coworker for months. That the open relationship was supposed to be his way out. He thought you'd refuse. Or that you'd agree, but stay loyal while he explored. He rubbed his forehead with one hand. He didn't think you'd actually date anyone, he said quietly. He told me he didn't think anyone else would want you. That one hurt. Even expecting it hurt. He's not well, his father continued, and you deserve far better than the lies he told. I nodded, unable to speak for a moment. The ring stays with you, he added, no matter what my wife says. And if they keep calling, texting, harassing you, tell me. I'll deal with it. He stood. I'm sorry for what my family put you through. When he left the house, felt heavier, colder, but also clearer. Because now the truth wasn't just mine. Someone else had seen it, confirmed it, said it aloud. Evan's lies were crumbling, but the collapse wasn't over. Not even close. A few days passed. Enough time for the dust to settle, just enough to be dangerous. Evan's texts stopped. His mother's calls slowed from a flood to a trickle. Mutual friends either vanished or hovered silently at the edges of group chats, unsure what to believe. For the first time in weeks, my house felt still. Not peaceful, just still. Then the doorbell rang. I opened the door expecting a package. Instead, Caroline Evans' best friend stood on my porch hood, up sunglasses on, despite the overcast sky, looking around like she was about to confess to a crime. "Can I come in?" she whispered. The last time she'd been here, she'd accused me of cruelty. Now her voice was shaking. I stepped aside. She stayed standing, didn't take off her coat, didn't sit. She clutched her phone so tightly her knuckles were white. She took a breath. She's going to kill me for this. Who I asked, though, I already knew. "Jessica," she whispered. "And Evan. But mostly Jessica." I waited. Caroline swallowed hard. "I have to show you something." She tapped her phone, opened a chat, and handed it to me. My stomach dropped before I even read the first line. It was a group thread. 4 months' worth of messages between Evan, Jessica, and Caroline, and in the earlier months, Melissa. I scrolled up. The oldest messages were from Jessica. "He's bored, you can tell. He needs excitement. Robin's too predictable." My heart beat hard against my ribs as I kept scrolling. A message from Evan appeared. "Melissa is exactly my type. I just want something different. Something new." Another message, this time from Melissa herself. "You deserve to be happy, Evan. If your relationship doesn't feel right anymore, you don't have to stay." Then Jessica. "Just tell her you want an open relationship. Either she freaks out and you get an excuse to leave, or she agrees. And you can see where things go with Melissa." Caroline had responded with just one word back then. Genius. My fingers shook as I kept scrolling. And then I found it. 3 months old, Evan's message. "I'm just going to tell her we need an open relationship. She'll either leave and I'll be the victim, or she'll stay and be so scared of losing me she won't date anyone. Either way, I win." A small sound escaped me. Disbelief, anger, something beyond either. He wrote, "Either way, I win. Not we. Not even I love her, but just I win." I took a breath and kept scrolling. Jessica. "She'll never actually date anyone else. Too loyal." Melissa. "Just be honest. She'll understand eventually." Evan. "She won't. That's why it has to be this way." My hand tightened around the phone. I had to stop for a moment, not because I couldn't read more, but because if I kept going without pausing, I would break something. Caroline's voice came out small. "I didn't know. Not at first. I thought it was just venting. Then he actually made the demand, and I realized he was serious." "Then why defend him?" I asked quietly. "Because he lied to us," she said, her voice cracking. "He said you begged for it. He said you pressured him. He said you wanted to experiment." She wiped her eyes with her sleeve. "And when everything blew up, he asked me to lie for him, to say you'd been talking about open relationships first, that you were obsessed with the idea, that he only agreed to save the relationship." I felt another jolt in my chest. "He asked you to lie." Caroline nodded. "He begged." Jessica backed him. "They said if we didn't stick to one story, he'd lose everything." "And Melissa?" I asked. Caroline exhaled shakily, stopped talking to him entirely when she found out he'd lied about being single. She left the group chat months ago. I scrolled back to the top of the thread. Melissa's last message was dated months before everything exploded. "You need to tell Robin the truth before you do something stupid." Then she left. Evan didn't show that part to anyone. I looked at Caroline. "Why bring this to me now?" "Because I'm done," she whispered. "Done lying. Done covering. Done pretending he's the victim. He's telling people you manipulated him, that you blackmailed him into the open relationship, that you're jealous, that you're unstable. And I believed him at first because I wanted to." She shook her head, eyes glossy. "But then I found these messages, hundreds of them, and I realized he had planned this for months, and you deserve to know." I nodded slowly. I didn't trust my voice yet. "Can you send them to me?" I asked. She nodded and tapped a button. A moment later, my phone buzzed. Hundreds of screenshots, all of them time-stamped, all of them damning. Caroline finally sat down, shoulders collapsing. "He's losing it, Robin. You won't hear it from his sister, but Evan's been telling everyone that you were abusive, that you controlled his money, that you isolated him from his family." My arms felt heavy. I didn't do any of that. "I know," she whispered. "I was there. I saw you give him space. Encourage him to go out with friends. Be independent. He took your kindness and twisted it into something else." She stood up. "I'm sorry," she said. "I'm really, really sorry." When she left, I sat at the kitchen table for almost an hour, staring at my phone, scrolling through the messages again and again until each word blurred. I compiled everything. Screenshots, dates, the timeline, Evan's exact words, Jessica's encouragement, Melissa's early warnings, Caroline's involvement. I wasn't planning revenge, but I wasn't about to let him rewrite our history either. I sent one message to the mutual friend group. "Since there's been a lot of misinformation, here's the truth from Evan's own messages. He planned the open relationship for months. He expected me to refuse so he could leave, or agree and stay loyal while he pursued Melissa. When his plan failed, he lied to all of you. Read the screenshots. Make your own judgments. Within minutes, responses exploded. What the hell? I cannot believe he wrote this. I'm sorry, Robin. I didn't know. This is messed up. He lied to all of us. Some people went silent. Some apologized. A few unfriended him instantly. But one message stood out from his father. I saw the messages. I'm sorry you ever got tangled in this. Let me know if he or anyone else harasses you further. I will take care of it. I closed my eyes. Evan's world was cracking, but he still hadn't hit the bottom. Because consequences don't knock softly. They crash, and his crash was coming. The fallout didn't come slowly. It came all at once. 3 days after I sent the screenshots, my phone buzzed with a call from a number I didn't recognize. I let it go to voicemail, then listened while standing at the kitchen sink. It was Evan's mother. Her voice trembled with outrage. You hacked his phone. Those messages are fake. Jessica said so. Evan said so. You're sick, Robin. You're trying to ruin him just because he fell out of love with you. I stopped the message halfway through. There was no point listening to lies told out of desperation. Her world was collapsing and she needed a villain. And in her story, I was the easiest one to cast. I put my phone down and breathed slowly. But then the doorbell rang. For a second, I honestly considered pretending I wasn't home. But curiosity pulled me to the door. When I opened it, Evan's father stood on the porch, alone. His expression wasn't angry or apologetic. It was resigned, like someone who had finally accepted a truth he didn't want. He stepped inside when I gestured, taking off his hat and holding it in both hands. She told you, didn't she? I said quietly. His mother. He nodded. She's convinced the messages are fake. Says Evan would never say those things. And you? He let out a slow breath. I know my son. And I also know what people do when they're cornered. I believe the screenshots. Every word. Something in me eased. I need to tell you something, he continued. Evan was fired today. I blinked. What? For creating a hostile work environment. Melissa filed a report. He'd been leaving her notes, following her around, crying in the break room. HR said it was disruptive. I closed my eyes. Of course. I'm not happy he lost his job, his father said. But I'm also not surprised. He hesitated. He's staying with us. My wife still thinks you're the problem, but I'm trying to get her to see reason. It's complicated. I nodded. Then he added, he may come here to talk or to blame you. If he does, you call me immediately. That startled me. You think he'll come here? I think he said slowly that Evan has a pattern of trying to fix things by controlling the narrative. And he's losing control of it. That makes him unpredictable. Before he left, he set something on the counter, a small jewelry box. My grandmother's ring. I don't know why he took it again, he said. But I brought it back. I knotted my throat tight. After he left, I put the ring in the safe where it belonged. The metal felt colder this time, heavier. That night, Daniel texted, dinner tonight. My treat. You've had a rough week. I hesitated not because I didn't want to go, but because part of me still felt bruised, not ready to be touched by gentleness. But then I remembered gentleness wasn't the danger. Manipulation was. Yes, I texted back. Pick me up at 7. He did. We went to a small Italian place tucked into a corner street. The lighting was warm, the chatter soft. Daniel talked about his students, about the chaos of middle school field trips, and I listened, really listened, feeling my shoulders unclench for the first time in weeks. At one point, he reached across the table not to hold my hand, but just to rest his fingers near mine. I'm really glad you're doing okay, he said. I worry about you. And it didn't feel suffocating. It didn't feel possessive. It felt human. After dinner, he walked me back to my house, stopping at the porch. You don't have to invite me in, he said quietly. Just wanted to make sure you got home safe. I smiled. Thank you, really. There was a moment, a soft one, where the air between us shifted. He didn't lean in. He didn't push. He waited. So I stepped forward first. We kissed slow, careful, warm. A kiss without expectation, without strings, without someone calculating what they could gain. When I went inside, I found my house dim and still. For the first time, it didn't feel empty. But peace doesn't last long when someone refuses to let go of a story they built. The next morning, I woke to an email from a mutual friend. He's saying you photoshopped the messages. He's saying you hacked his accounts. He's saying you manipulated all of us. And then, I don't believe him anymore. I'm sorry I ever did. One by one, similar messages trickled in. People who had sided with him. People who had doubted me. People who had believed the performance he gave instead of the truth I lived. They apologized. Some cried over voice messages. Some confessed they'd ignored red flags for years. Some admitted they'd always sensed something off but didn't want to get involved. It didn't undo the hurt, but it helped. A week later, another knock hit my door. I opened it, expecting a package. Instead, Evan stood there, and he looked like a ghost. Hollow cheeks, bloodshot eyes, clothes, wrinkled hair, unwashed hands trembling. "Robin," he whispered, "please, 5 minutes." Against my better judgment, against my instincts, I stepped onto the porch, but didn't invite him inside. He swallowed hard. I messed up. Silence. "I know you don't owe me anything, but I'm asking you, begging you. Can we try again counseling, talking, anything?" I stared at him. He waited. "You planned your exit for months," I said quietly. "You lied to me, to your family, to your friends, to your coworkers. You lied about me being abusive. You lied about being single. You lied to Melissa. You lied to HR. And when the truth came out, you lied again." He opened his mouth, but no sound came out. "You didn't make one mistake," I said. "You made 100 choices." His eyes filled. "You're seeing someone," he whispered. "Aren't you?" "What I do now," I said, "is none of your business." "You moved on so fast." "No," I said softly. "I healed fast. Moving on takes longer." He broke, then shoulders, shaking breath, hitching hands, covering his face. "I don't care," he choked out. "I'll wait for you. Just don't leave me." "I left you," I said gently, "the day you decided I was replaceable." He sank to the porch step like his legs had given out. I didn't sit. I didn't console. I didn't soften. "Evan," I said quietly, "you need help, not me." He flinched. "Go home," I added. "Don't come back." He looked up at me, eyes pleading. "Please." "No." I stepped inside and closed the door. He knocked once, then twice, then silence. I didn't look through the peephole. I didn't watch him leave. I just breathed. A few days later, his father texted. "He's staying with us. We'll make sure he gets help. Thank you for setting boundaries." I stared at the message for a long time. Then I put my phone down, made tea, and sat on the couch, really sat without bracing for impact. Weeks passed. Daniel and I kept seeing each other, slow, gentle, steady. Mutual friends settled. The noise died down. The lies stopped spreading. The calls ended. One afternoon, I opened my safe, took out my grandmother's ring, and held it in my palm. The metal still felt cold, but not heavy anymore. Someday, I'll give it to someone who actually deserves it. Someone who doesn't see relationships as leverage. Someone who doesn't make love a battlefield. But not yet. For now, the ring stays in the safe, and I stay here, in my house, in my life, at peace. Evan wanted freedom. He got it. Evan wanted to explore. He did. Evan wanted to test if the grass was greener. He fell face first into dirt of his own making. I didn't have to ruin his life. I didn't have to sabotage him. I didn't have to manipulate anything. All I did was take him at his word. People reveal who they are, eventually. I just finally stopped pretending I didn't see it. This chapter is closed.